Hi guys, today we are going to read more of, no, that's not right. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and do not forget to subscribe and like and comment down below. If you do that, we will have more Puppy Place books. Yay! And today we are going to read Bear, the Puppy Place. Chapter 1. Look, look, look! The bean was pointing and shouting, "Bee, I see a bee. B is for bean." Lizzie had to smile. Her little brother was getting really good at his letters. He could always spot A for Adam, his real name. Not that anyone ever called him that. B for Bean, C for Charles, Lizzie's middle brother, and of course L for Lizzie. Who was the oldest? That's good. Who was the oldest? That's good, she said. Nothing that was the car passing them also had a D and a Y in its license plate. Excellent. The bean wasn't so good at those letters yet, but Lizzie needed both of them for her bingo card. The Petersons were piled into the van, and they were driving north. Lizzie liked the sound of that. It was adventurous. Expedition. So what? If they weren't going all the way to the North Pole, or even as far north as Canada, will there still be snow, even though they were going to Vermont? Lizzie loved being outside, even in the winter. Especially in the winter, she loved sledding, building snow forts and snowmen, and even helping Dad shovel the driveway. The only thing she wasn't so sure about was whether she would enjoy cross-country skiing as much as whether she would enjoy cross-country skiing as much as Dad thought she would. Lizzie had gone to ski resort once with her best friend Maria and Maria's father. She had been scared of riding the chairlift a million miles above the snowy hill. She had worried about getting out off the chairlift. How exactly did that work? She had been terrified of zooming downhill on the two planks that felt stapled to her feet. Lizzie was strong. She could do 20 push-ups, and she could run fast. But sports that took a lot of coordination were not exactly her specialty. Thankfully, Mom and Dad said that the resort type of skiing was way too expensive for a family vacation, and Dad kept telling her that cross-country skiing was a lot less scary. It's just like you're walking through the woods, only on skis, he said again now, as they drove north. That sounded easier, but it also sounded like a lot of work. Trudging through the deep snow, oh well, Lizzie was willing to give it a try. Dad also kept promising that there would be lots of snow in Vermont. In fact, I heard they had a big snowstorm last week, and there might be another while we're there. He sounded excited. Snow? Where? The bean stared out the window. Lizzie looked too, hoping to see snow on the ground, but all she saw were rocks and dead-looking grass. We still have 2 hours to go, she told her brother. The bean groaned, but Lizzie didn't mind. She actually liked car trips. The longer the better. She liked to watch out the window. She liked the special snacks Mom packed, like cheesy crackers and baby carrots, and she liked how her family played games like 20 questions, I Spy, or her new favorite dog breed bingo, which she had made up. She and Charles were playing it right now. After a while, Lizzie looked back at the card in her lap. Portuguese, Bulldog, Poodle, Husky, Sharpia, it said. Lizzie had crossed all of the letters she had seen as they drove. The E's, the S's, and the O's. She had spotted a K at the gas station, and the O's she had an H on the hotel sign, and an R at the railroad cross. Charles' card, his read Dachshund, St. Bernard, Labrador, Dalmatian, Beagle. He had a lot of letters crossed off, but not as many as she did. She had a good feeling that she was going to be the first to cross all of the letters in one of her breeds. Yay! As she watched Charles cross off all 3 of the B's. Eek! Thanks to the bean's help. He was getting closer. Lizzie crossed off her B too. Then stared out the window, concentrating hard. All she needed was a U, and she'd win. Then a big truck rumbled by. Laboratory Supply, said a big sign on its side. Husky! Yelled Lizzie 1 second before Charles yelled, Labrador! Labrador! I win! Lizzie threw her fist in the air. Woohoo! It was a tie. Charles stared at her in disbelief. No way! Lizzie wasn't about to give up her big victory. I said my breed first. Charles shook his head. I said lab at the same time, he insisted. Lizzie started to say something, but Mom turned around in her seat. No fighting, you guys, okay? You've been doing great so far. Call this one a tie and move on, Lizzie grumbled, but she knew there was no point in arguing with Mom anyway. Now they could both read the information on the back of their cards. That was the best part of the game. She turned her card over and started to read out loud. Husky, she read, a breed well suited for northern climates, with its thick undercoat for warmth and wide paws for good traction on snow. Lizzie practically knew all this by heart, even before she'd copied it off her Dog Breeds of the World poster. But she still loved reading it. Huskies, both the Siberian and Alaskan types, are known as for their stamina and are widely used as sled dogs. What's stamina? Asked Charles. Lizzie rolled her eyes. It's you know. She knew what it meant, but she couldn't exactly put it into words. Dad came to her rescue. It means energy that lasts and lasts. Like the bean when he doesn't want to take his nap. And he's acting like a jumping bean, Mom added with a smile. Yeah, the bean bumped up and down in his car seat. I'm a jumping bean. Charles flipped his card over. Labrador Retriever, he read, a strong, athletic dog with a friendly temperament. This breed is used as a hunting dog, a guide dog, and a family pet. Labs can be black, brown, also known as chocolate, or yellow, like honey, said the bean. Did you hear that? Lizzie was impressed. The bean really knows his dog breeds. She beamed at her little brother. The bean actually remembered that Honey, the last puppy, the Petersons took care of puppies that needed homes, keeping each one until they could find it the perfect forever family. That's what fostering meant. Honey was one of their biggest success stories. She was going to learn how to be a service dog who could help a person in a wheelchair. Buddy the Petersons' own puppy was another foster puppy success story. Once Lizzie and her family had taken care of Buddy, his two sisters, and his mother, four dogs, that was quite a responsibility. They had found other homes for Buddy's mom and his sister, but they had all fallen in love with Buddy. Now Buddy was the Petersons' forever dog. Lucy felt sad thinking about Buddy. That was the only bad part about his vacation. This vacation, Buddy could not come. He was staying with Lizzie's aunt, Amanda, who ran a doggy daycare center and had four dogs of her own. Buddy loved Aunt Amanda. And staying with her and her dogs would be like a fun vacation for him. Lizzie knew he would be totally safe with and very happy, but she still missed him right at that moment. She would have loved to kiss his little nose and stroke his soft brown fur. She wished she could trace the white heart-shaped patch on his chest. Lizzie looked out the window to distract herself. Eventually, Dad turned off the interstate onto a smaller road, and suddenly everything started to look different. Hey! Lizzie sat up. White, 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 as far as her eyes could see. The sides of the road were piled high with snow. It covered the trees and the hills, and even the tops of other cars that passed them. Yeah, Dad said from up front. It looks like they got walloped here. Walloped, yelled the bean. Lizzie was sure her brother had no idea Dad was saying, that the area had been hit hard by a snowstorm. The bean just loved to repeat what other people said. Wallop. Lizzie repeated it softly as she looked out at all the snow. This vacation was going to be a real adventure. She could feel it in her bones. Soon Lizzie spotted a sign, a big yellow arrow with red letters. It stood out against the white snow, pointing the way up a long dirt driveway, lined with a huge old trees. Dad, look! Harris' house bed and breakfast. That was where they were staying. Dad turned onto the road and pulled the van up to an old yellow farmhouse with a big red barn. The buildings looked cozy, with their roofs blanketed in thick snow. Someone must have seen them arrive because a few seconds later, the back door of the house flew open. Wait, no, Bear, come! A woman called. Lizzie smiled as she watched a fluffy puppy bounce down the stairs and run straight for the van. Look, she said, it's a husky. Chapter 2. Lizzie unbuckled her seatbelt, slid the door open, and started to hop out of the van. Careful, Mom warned. It might be slit too late. Lizzie slipped and slid on the snow and ice-packed driveway. She lost her balance, but caught herself before she fell. Whoa! He grabbed the door handle. Watch it, the woman had picked her away close enough to grab the puppy and scoop him up. Are you okay? Lizzie nodded, but she wasn't looking at the woman. She gazed up at the adorable puppy in the woman's arms. He was so cute. His fur was fluffy, mostly black and gray, with white markings. He had a pointy nose, like the big, bad wolves, and triangular ears, one of which stood up, while the other flopped over his face, was mostly white, with black around the eyes, so that he looked as if he were wearing an old-fashioned burglar's mask. And the most amazing thing, one eye was brown and the other was bright blue. Lizzie could not stop staring. The woman laughed. I know. Isn't he cute? This is Bear. By then, Dad and Charles had climbed out of the van, and Mom was helping the Bean out of his car seat. You must be the Petersons. I'm Cordelia Harris. The woman smiled around at everyone. I'm the sister who paints, Lizzie remembered. Mom motioning that the bed and breakfast was run by two sisters, one who was a painter and one who was a musician. She liked Cordelia Harris right away. Cordelia had red cheeks and long, thick brown braids, and she wore a fuzzy, multicolored sweater. Dorothy is inside, practicing, and she just finished baking some cookies. Cordelia went on. Cookies! The Bean face lit up. Give me cookies! What do you say? Mom reminded him. Lots of cookies, yelled the Bean. Then when Mom gave him a look, he added, please? He gave Cordelia his best orange-eyed, the cutest smile. You can have as many cookies as your mom and dad allow, said Cordelia. Now come on in, everybody, before you all freeze. She led the way up the snowy front walk, still carrying the puppy. Inside, it was deliciously warm. Lizzie stopped to pull off her jacket. She heard the noise of a tinkling piano. Then silence. In a moment, a woman appeared. She looked just like Cordelia, except that her braids were more gray than brown. Welcome, she said. I'm Dorothy. Please come on into the parlor. She led them into the room full of overstuffed armchairs with paintings on the walls and richly colored rugs on the floor. A big fire crackled away in the giant stone fireplace. A piano stood in one corner, and there were shelves full of books. Lizzie spotted a plate of chocolate chip cookies on a big round wooden table with a teapot and mugs beside it. Now this looks relaxing, Mom beamed as Cordelia waved them in and invited them to sit down. Just then, the little husky pup wriggled out of Cordelia's arms, jumped down onto the floor, wandered over to the fireplace, and curled up for a nap. Aww! Lizzie could not believe how cute he was. He's sleepy. Lazy, it's more like it. Dorothy snorted. That's why he's here. What do you mean? Dad asked. We're just taking care of Bear, said Cordelia. He doesn't belong to us. In fact, he's looking for a home. Lizzie and Charles stared at each other. They had come all the way to Vermont, only to meet a puppy, like all the others they had fostered. Back home, a puppy who needed a forever home. Family. What does laziness have to do with it? Lizzie went over to sit in front of the fire near Bear and stroke his long, soft fur. A musher friend of ours dropped Bear off a couple weeks ago, Dorothy said. Musher? Charles asked. Like oatmeal? Cordelia laughed. Up here, musher means sled dog racer. You know, like mush mush, only they don't really say that to get their dogs moving. That's kind of a myth. Dorothy passed a plate of cookies, so Bruce, our friend, raised sled dogs and raced them. Bear was part of the last litter of puppies, and Bruce felt that he just didn't fit in. He said Bear was too unmotivated and would never make a good sled dog. Lizzie drew in a breath. That's mean. Actually, it's just the truth, Cordelia shrugged. You can see for yourself. He likes to greet our guest. But besides, that's all he wants to do is eat and sleep. There's another reason our friend and to leave him with us, said Dorothy. He couldn't take care of this puppy right now. Bruce had to leave town. That's no excuse for abandoning a puppy. Lizzie began, but Dorothy finished. Because he headed for Alaska to run the Iditarod. Lizzie's jaw fell open. Really? That's so cool. My class just did a whole unit on the Iditarod. Bob, echoed the bean, dancing around excitedly. Daba bala goog boog dog. The what? Charles asked. I did a rod. Lizzie pronounced the word carefully. It's a race, the longest, wildest sled dog race in the world. That's right, Dorothy nodded. It goes from Anchorage to Nome, through some of the deepest wilderness in the world. The race is over 1,000 miles long, said Lizzie, and it's very historical. A long time ago, there was this disease called diphtheria. Dorothy put in. It was a bad disease, especially for young people, and there was no way to get medicine to those who needed it way up in Nome, so they sent it by dog sled. Yeah, Lizzie remembered the whole story, and it was like 40 below zero, and it took 6 days, and one of the dogs was named Balto. There's a statue of him in New York. That's right, said Dorothy, and nowadays they run the Iditarod as a race every year to honor Balto and the other brave dogs. Cool, said Charles. Very good, Lizzie, said Mom. Sounds like you really learned about this topic. Lizzie always had an excellent memory for anything that had to do with dogs. She patted Bear again, and he yawned and licked her hand. His fluffy fur was warm, and the fire. No way was this sleepy puppy ready to help pull a dog sled for over 1,000 miles. I guess Bear does need another home, she said. Maybe we can help find him one. Chapter 3. I still can't believe you managed to find a puppy to foster all the way up here in Vermont. Mom shook her head at Lizzie. The next morning, Lizzie sat by the fireplace with a belly full of the best waffles she'd ever had. She brushed Bear, gently combing tiny snarls out of his coat. I know, Lizzie grinned. Isn't it great? Mom sighed. Well, it's not necessarily what I would choose for my vacation, but I know it makes you happy to have a puppy to care for, and I must admit he's very cute. Being around him helps me miss Buddy a little less. She came over to pat Bear. Hi, Bear. Mom spoke softly. You're a little sweetie, aren't you? Bear yawned. Whatever you say. Can I go back to my nap now? Cordelia says that even if he is lazy, he's smart, Lizzie reported. She said he's completely house trained. He goes right out into the snow to do his business, and she said, and he doesn't mind the snow and cold at all, that he would probably live outside if he could. Mom raised her eyebrows. Bear may like the cold, but he sure seems to be like snoozing by the fireplace too. She laughed. I can relate. I could almost curl up for a nap on that couch over there. It's so cozy in here. Just then, Dad came downstairs, all dressed for cross-country skiing in wool pants and a puffy red vest over a gray wool sweater. Behind him were Charles and the Bean, who were also bundled up and ready to go. Let's hit the trails. Dad looked eager. I have our skis already. Lizzie groaned. She really just wanted to lie by the fire, tickling Bear's pink puppy belly. Come on, Dad ignored the groan. It'll be fun. It's supposed to start snowing really hard later today, so now's the perfect time to learn the basics. And then tomorrow, we'll have a whole pile of beautiful new snow to play in. Come on! Mom poked Lizzie with her foot. We'll have a good time, and Bear will be right here waiting for you when we will get back. Lizzie gave Bear one more kiss. Okay, she was already mostly dressed. All she had to do was pull on her snow pants and jacket, and she'd be ready. When Dad saw how terrible she was at skiing, maybe she could spend the rest of the vacation playing with Bear. Have fun, Cordelia waved from her painting studio on the sun porch as the Petersons headed out the back door. Don't forget your trail map. Dorothy ran after them with a pamphlet in her hand. Our trail goes right through the woods until it meets a snowmobile mobile trail that you can follow for miles. Thanks, Dad put the map in his pocket. Cordelia showed me the best route this morning. We should be back by lunchtime. If we're not, spend out the Mounties. Keep an eye on the sky. Dorothy squinted up at the low gray clouds overhead. I have a feeling that the storm may begin a little earlier. Then the weatherman said, Great. Now Lizzie had to worry about getting lost in a blizzard on the top of everything else. Mom began to settle the Bean onto the little sled he'd be riding in, towed by her or Dad, and Dad helped Charles and Lizzie put on their skis. Just step down right here. He guided the toe of Lizzie's ski boot into the skis binding. Hear that click? That means you're all locked in and ready to roll. Charles had both skis on in no time. He started sliding around the yard like a maniac. Look at me! Look at me! Look at me! I'm doing it! Show off. Show off, Lizzie thought. Then, without any warning, she fell down. She hadn't even been doing anything, just standing there. Now she was on her side in the snow, on her legs, with her legs and feet and skis all tangled up. She couldn't even begin to figure out how to untangle them. Not only that, but Dad was laughing at her. She glared at him, and he stopped. He helped her untangle her legs and held out a hand so he could help haul her to her feet. Sorry, he was thinking my exact thing myself so many times. It's embarrassing, but kind of funny, really. 1 minute you're standing there, the next you're not. He helped her get her hat back on straight and gave her a kiss on the cheek. Try again. It's really not so hard. All you do is push off with one foot and glide on the other ski. See? He started to ski around her in a big circle. Kick, glide, kick, glide. He made it look so easy. Lizzie grabbed her ski poles, which seemed way too long, and in the way she tried to shove off. Kick, glide. How hard could it be? Charles and Mom, towing the bean, were already on their way down the trail that led through the woods in back of the farmhouse. Dad waved patiently. That's it, he called. You've got it. For a second, Lizzie felt her skis glide silently over the silky snow. For a second, she felt For a second, she flew. Oof! Down she went. Dad came over to help her up. They continued that way for what seemed like hours. Lizzie fell every few minutes, and Dad helped her up, but they kept moving along. Soon it started to snow. Suddenly, big snowflakes swirled all around so thickly that Lizzie couldn't even see Charles and Mom up ahead anymore. She could barely make out the trees on either side of the trail. She felt like she was inside her own giant-sized snow globe. You know what? Lizzie began after she fell for the 40th time. She was about to tell Dad that maybe he should go on without her. She had tried, but it was obvious that cross-country skiing was not her thing. Really, she would rather sit by the fire with Bear in her lap, and wouldn't Dad rather be off kicking and gliding with the others instead of constantly untangling her and picked her up off the snow? But before Lizzie could say anything, Dorothy zoomed up to them, racing as fast on her own wooden skis, her braids flying behind her. Have you seen Bear? Her face was bright red, and her eyes were bright. He's lost. Chapter 4, guys. So, guys, we are going to end this video right here, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment all down below.